Hello. Hello. There you go. I purposely did that. So you know what I have to do before making a video. Hello, Bode. Go lay down, please, just for a minute. I totally forgot what I was doing for a second. I thought, well, I'll make a video. I just woken up, from a nap, so my brain's a bit, But I've made myself a Slurpee and I'm having a fag. I'm gonna make 2 videos now, one at a time. So you see this one now and the next one whenever. So I'm doing 2 videos, which is my thoughts. I'm still doing them. My never-ending series. Hope everybody's okay. Right, I'm going to read this one. I haven't even written it down, it's just as it is. So this is from my friend Terry, and Terry says, "Hi Bri, I'm not sure if you are still doing the My Thoughts videos, but if you are, can I suggest this topic? What are your thoughts on our capitalist, money-driven society and the ever-widening gap between the rich and the poor, where even working families are forced to use food banks?" Thanks, Bri, from Terry. So what are my thoughts on the capitalist, money-driven society? Terry, it is a capitalist, money-driven society, but it is only a capitalist, money-driven society if you allow it. That's what I think. If you're one of these money-grabbing people that buy into all of that, the sort of capitalist thing, must have, at the detriment to anybody and anything, if you're one of those people, and you're not, and I'm not, I live very frugally, I don't hurt anybody, don't harm anybody, I spend my money, I think, fairly wisely, to a degree, so I'm not capitalist, money-driven. You said they're a capitalist, money-driven society. It's not. It's a fraction of society. It's only a fraction. We're led to believe it's a lot more. We're led to believe everybody's a nasty bastard. That's the truth, isn't it, really? And the ever-widening gap between the rich and the poor, where even working families are forced to use food banks. Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that. It's a funny thing, really, because the ever-widening gap between the rich and the poor, the class system, is instigated really through politics. Well, it's through the royal family, and then politics. But mostly it's politics that we see. And it's a funny thing because I always thought they'd come together. I said before, years ago, there used to be such a divide. There was the Liberals, and you knew what they were all about. Then there was Labour, you knew what they were about. And then there was Conservative. Well, Conservative were up in the air with their highfalutin ideas. And, they were solicitors or bankers or whatever. And they were millionaires, all of them. And they still are. And then you drop down to Labour. Labour meant work and work-related type people. And unions and the national health and things like that. Then you drop down into Liberals. Liberals were a bit wishy-washy, really, if we're honest. Wanted a bit of this and a bit of that, and you're never quite sure what they wanted. So that was the 3 separate parties. Now there is no difference between any of the parties. They're all multi-millionaires, all of them. And yet, there is a divide. There's a huge divide now between rich and poor. And as I say, it really starts off with the royal family and with politics. I hate the royal family, I hate them with vengeance. I don't see that you can have, in this day and age, where there are homeless people, where there are people really suffering, where there are people that can't afford to rent somewhere, where somebody goes to work, what you rightly said, they go to work and then they have to go down a food bank because they cannot afford to go shopping. You've got people that all winter long will live in a little flat with half a dozen jumpers on because they cannot afford to heat the place. We cannot have a society like that when, that's one side of it, but the other side of it is we've got a queen, we've got a royal family, we've got all the hangers on, we've got gold carriages, we've got jewels worth billions. She is sat on trillions and trillions of pounds. She owns pockets of land in various countries, but certainly in this country. And the castles and the houses and the places that she owns and what have you, that they never even go to, never visit, and probably don't even know they actually own. You cannot have that and that. In an affluent society, you cannot have that. If the Queen is to do any good, if the royal family is to do any good, they need to wake up and think, well, hang on, I in 1 second could eradicate homelessness, food banks, little old ladies who sit and suffer all winter long because they can't afford to heat the place. That is a decent thing to do if you're a decent royalist. But they don't care, do they? Why would they give a shit? They are capitalists. They are money driven. That's what they are. And because they're like that, then politicians are. You've got to lead by example. And the example of the Queen and of the royal family to you and me is this. That's what they're saying. They couldn't care less. There's stories in the press all the time about ex-servicemen that they finished, they've been veteraned out, if you like, because they're ill in some way or they've been injured in some way, and they end up homeless. They freeze to death on a park bench in winter. And the royal family, just in one place, has 187 bedrooms. You cannot have that. It's absolutely disgusting. If you were the Queen or the King or a member of the royal family, you wouldn't sleep at night, and nor would I, nor would most normal, sane people, and they're clearly not normal, not sane as a fly. Yeah, it's absolutely evil. It's disgusting. And then you've got the politicians, and as I say, they've all come together now. They're all multi-millionaires. They're all in it for themselves. A few nights back, I don't know why or how, I found myself on a website and it said about the Prime Minister's wage. What I never knew, probably because I'm thick, Terry, I don't know, but what I never knew was, once you've been a Prime Minister, you get paid forever. Like, forever. I don't know if people know that, but you get paid forever. So we are now still paying the likes of John Major, Theresa May, Wanky Moonface, David Cameron. We are paying their wages. £115,000 per year. They don't have to do anything, nothing at all, but we pay their wages forever once they've been Prime Minister. Isn't that awful? The House of Lords, they made a big issue of it, didn't they, a little while ago, and they said they're not going to pay, they're not going to be salaried, the House of Lords. And they're right, they're not. But do you know what they pay these bastards? It's £305 per day. They can turn up if and when. If they want to work 1 day a year, work. If they want to turn up there and go to KIP for 1 day a year, or for 365 days a year, it's up to them. But every single time they turn up, they get £305. That's not reality, is it? It cannot be reality. £305 per day. Anyway, I was looking at this chart, wherever I found it. I mean, it's all on there, isn't it? And And I was looking at the Prime Minister, not the Prime Ministers, looking at the MPs, just ordinary MPs' wages. And going back sort of 20 years, 30 years, it was whatever it was. So it was 20 grand a year, you know, when, you know, 20 grand a year was quite a lot. And then the following year it was 20,800. And then the next year they give themselves a little pay rise, it was 21,200. And then 21,400. And then 24,000, it jumped a couple of thousand or whatever. I'm just saying these figures because it's kind of how it went. And then just recently it went 24 up to 36,000 a year. And then from 36,000 to 50,000 a year, 50,000 to 61,000 a year, 61,000 to 78,000 a year. That's what they're on now. Now that is taking the piss, isn't it? Nearly £80,000 per year all them lot are on. And then the House of Lords, £305 per day for as many days as they want to go into work. Absolutely disgusting. And then once you have been Prime Minister, as I say, you get paid for life. It's so wrong, isn't it? Like you say, you got even nurses. Some nurses go to work, they live in a little flat, they come home, by the time they paid their rent and a few bills, they cannot afford to eat food, so they go down a food bank. Yeah, it's... What are my thoughts on it, Terry? Well, that's it. It's absolutely disgusting. We need a revamp in this country. We need to get rid of the royal family. We need to sell all their pockets of land in whatever countries they've got. We need to sell all their castles and houses and all their jewels and all their gold and all the art and all that rubbish. We need to stop paying the whole lot of the royal family. They do no good. They're murderers, they're liars, they're paedophiles, they're thieves. And we accept it. And we shouldn't be accepting it. So I think get rid of them. Put MPs on an ordinary wage. I think 30 to 40,000 a year. Something like that. I think that will do. 35,000 a year, say, is a top whack. If they want to do it. And of course they wouldn't do it because they're in there to make millions and millions and millions of pounds for themselves. And there is a huge divide now between the classes and between the poor and the rich. A huge divide. And you know, there's going to... I think what's going to happen, there will be some more civil unrest, and I think it's happening fairly soon. We had a few riots a few years back and what have you. I can see all that happening again. I can see disillusioned young people who no longer can live at home for obvious reasons, but they can't afford to live in bricks. They can't afford to eat food. They're probably working full time. And they look around them, they look at the royal family and they look at the politicians and they look at the wealth in this country, how rich people are. And it's absolutely awful. So that's my thoughts, Terry. Really, I think there's going to be some civil unrest over it, you know. I don't know what is wrong with people, but people just accept, oh, that's the way it is. Oh, the royal family, they're all right. Yeah, they're lovely. I go and wave a little flag, hello, ma'am. You know, politicians are there, all right. And people just... I think there's apathy, isn't there? That's what it is apathy. People cannot be asked to do anything. So they sit in a little flat, freezing cold, in the middle of winter, with no food, with no heat. This country is in a mess, a complete mess. As I say, the capitalist or money-driven aspect of it, that's different altogether, because that is the capitalist money-driven aspect of it is the royal family, is the politicians, is the bankers, is the people on the big bucks and what have you. But the ordinary person, that doesn't exist for at all. You know, the ordinary person. So Yeah, I don't believe there is a society of capitalist money-driven people. I don't believe that at all. Especially now you've got people on crap wages, crap working conditions, these 0-hour contracts, which should never be allowed. People are not safe in their employment anymore. So the capitalist money-driven thing doesn't exist for most people. I really don't believe. But there is a huge divide, definitely, like you say, between the rich and the poor, which is the classes. A huge divide. And it's getting worse and worse. They will give more and more money to the royal family next year, more and more money to politicians next year, and they will take it from where? They will take it from the easy targets. These multi-millionaire politicians who are running several businesses, and they're politicians, and they come from mummy and daddy's rich pocket money and all the rest of it, they voted a couple of years ago to knock £30 off of benefits for those with long-term illnesses like cancer or any degenerative illness that people have got. They voted to knock £30 a week off. Now, I don't know how much benefits are anymore really in this country, but whatever they are, £30 is a huge lump, isn't it? If you're struggling with your either physical or mental health, and you're struggling to get by, and then suddenly they say you're not going to have this 30 quid, because where's this 30 quid going? Well, it's going back to them, because on the back of that they gave themselves a pay rise. So that's where the money went to, and that's why we should be up in arms. That's why there will be some sort of civil unrest, I think. Hopefully, anyway. Hopefully people get together. Cheers, Terry. Take care, mate. Be well. Ta-da.